Stepkid Radio with Matt McGill. Weekday mornings, 6 until 9 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's an insult. What a silly question to ever ask anybody. If your mother died, does that change your life? What's wrong with you people? Do you have any respect for people anymore? I know you want to make a lot of money. You want to be on TV. You want to ask me a lot of questions. But do you have any respect for anyone? I guess you don't. This is very simple answer. It was N-O, no. Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't dip into people's pocketbook. Who are they? I mean, what are they talking about? What? No. I mean, see, what are we doing? I can't believe this. Only Chicago press can do this. It's just a group of people, yuppies and yippies and huppies or whatever they call them. I don't know.
Oh, it's been very effective. If I put this up your butt, you'll find out how effective it is. I'm announcing that I will not seek a 7th term as mayor of the city of Chicago. Simply put, it's time. It's time for me. It's time for Chicago to move on.
All righty, some of Mayor Daley's greatest hits right there, guys. Chicago Sun-Times columnist Mark Brown is on the live line with us. Mark, don't you have any respect for anybody? Why'd you make the mayor so mad?
Oh, boy, that's a great piece of tape. That's a great piece of tape. I'd forgotten some of those.
Classics there. Don't you have any respect for anybody, Mark Brown? You're the one who made the mayor mad.
No, I don't. I'm afraid that I can't claim credit for making the mayor mad enough, nearly often enough. I think some of my colleagues have done the heavy lifting there. But
I wonder who he was talking about putting the rifle up their butt. Who?
Oh, that was a guy from the Reader.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been very effective. If I put this up your butt, you'll find out how effective it is.
Oh, that is classic. Your thoughts? Were you surprised at all at the announcement? I think some people knew this day was coming, but did you think he was going to run for re-election?
Yes, I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to run for re-election. Until the words came out of his mouth one way or the other, you had to account for the fact that that this was a possibility. But he just kept sending out the signals that he was going to go again. So it caught me off guard.
It did look like it. We had talked about it as well. He seemed to be positioning himself around issues as he was trying to get his arms around violence in the community, which is obviously the number one issue that we've been dealing with here in the African-American community. Seemed like he was trying to make some headway so that he could have something to run on this February. But maybe it was spontaneous. Maybe it came down to this long Labor Day weekend. Maybe he had some conversations with his family and decided that it wasn't worth it. Now, my question to you, if the mayor had decided to run here in February, would he have won? Would he have been able to fight off any challengers? Because it looks like this, his approval ratings are at its lowest it's ever been. If he was vulnerable, this would have been the time that somebody could have picked him off.
Well, he was definitely vulnerable, but it's always a matter of, what are the choices? And, it was unclear who was going to run against him, and most of the people whose names were out there so far as considering the race, if he was in, at best you could say they'd have a chance, but I don't think there was anybody that you looked at and went, oh yeah, he can beat Daley or she can beat Daley, and there wasn't anybody that like that. So, and that's before Daley turns on the screws to him. They know how to run a campaign. And they know how to make a person who looks like, maybe they'd be okay. They can look really bad in a hurry. So, I don't know. I think he would have been the favorite if he had run. But I think maybe somebody could have beat him with a good campaign.
But what his advantage really is that he dries up all of the fundraising sources.
That's true. The business community loves Mayor Daley, and they feel much more comfortable with him in charge. And the minute in 1989 that he decided to run, he had millions of dollars, within weeks, that he'd raised. And even now, even basically all through the time he's been mayor, he doesn't raise a lot of money except at the point that he decides he needs it, and then boom, he gets it all. So nobody was going to cross him. Nobody would donate money to somebody else on the risk the chance that he'd still be mayor, and they'd have to live with him.
And analyzing the mayor and his legacy, I look at a 21-year period. That's like anyone who would be mayor for 21 or hold public office for 21 years. There's the good and there's the bad, and I don't know which one outweighs the other.
He's going to suffer from the fact that he's leaving the city in kind of rough shape right now, which isn't all his doing, but with the economy what it is, he's going to bear that burden, and I guess his legacy will bear that too. And then you throw in the corruption stuff that sort of plagued him throughout the 2 decades, and there is a significant downside that I think is kind of on people's minds now. But I don't know. Over the course of history, I think people will look and see, where the city was in 89 and where it is today, and and he'll probably fare pretty well.
I think he did a good job. I think when you look at the city, I think when Harold Washington became mayor, Harold kind of changed the game. It was out with the old, out with patronage. The city began working and operating. Mayor Washington got the city's bond rating up, so the city was able to borrow money, was able to make some infrastructure changes, able to focus on McCormick Place being this huge source of revenue for the city. Gene Sawyer had a short tenure there, but just kind of kept everything in motion. And the mayor came in, and to his credit, with that blueprint kind of out there and the people around him, they took that and took it to another level. And I think he deserves credit for that, because some mayors could have came in and the city could have went backwards. I think some would argue, though, that even though Harold Washington, for the most part, got rid of the majority of the patronage that was going on, you may have had some of it come back again with Mayor Daley, but at the same time, it didn't cripple the city to the degree that it could have. But there was other areas, and you talked about the corruption, Mark, and the financial state of the city right now. That is probably going to be on the minds of people. And definitely, what do you anticipate whoever becomes the next mayor, Mark, when they sit down for the first time at the desk on the 5th floor of City Hall, they're going to be looking at a balance sheet that's going to blow their mind.
They're just it's going to be one of those be careful what you wish for things here. For you've seen these lists that were developed yesterday of 25, 30 people who might be a candidate, and that person is going to go in there, and there's that people feel that the taxes are as high as they can go, but there's not enough money to run the government, and the city workers are trying to dig in so that they don't lose more numbers. Mm-hmm. It's not like anybody's sitting out there with all these great options that they know would turn things around for the city until the economy turns around. So it's going to be a bear for whoever inherits that office.
Stepkid Radio with Matt McGill, weekday mornings 6 until 9 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.